breaking news. An arrest has been made in connection with the Tupac Shakur murder. Las Vegas police have arrested a man on suspicion of murder in that 1996 drive-by shooting of the famous rapper. For more, let's get straight to our ABC's Tim Pulliam, also ABC News contributor Mike Muse, and ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. Tim, let's just start with you. Tell us what we know at this time as we get this information.
So, Kira, this is very late-breaking information, but what we know right now from police sources is that Dwayne Davis has been arrested. He is being booked right now. We don't know what his charges are, but they are forthcoming. And this is someone that is known to investigators. You may recall that Dwayne Davis put in a 2019 memoir that he was in the Cadillac, the white vehicle that pulled up beside Suge Knight and Tupac on that Las Vegas Strip. But it's not clear yet who is the actual shooter, but we know that he was in the car according to his own words. So again, he is being booked. He is going to be charged. We don't know those charges at the moment. Now, all of this began when back in July, police in Las Vegas went to a home right outside of the city to do a raid. They did a search. It's not clear what they were looking for, but we know that they were looking for items in connection to Tupac's murder. So that was back in July, and now here we are with an arrest. Kira.
So, Mike, let's talk about what this means in the grand scheme of things. And I know, Brian, you can weigh in on this as well. Have both of you weigh in on this, because the three of us have covered this story over a period of more than a decade. That this is very different from the man that's been talked about that is the alleged shooter. That person, and I won't name that person, clearly you guys can if you want, you know, he's no longer alive. So now that this arrest has been made, what do we think that Davis knows about who actually killed Tupac Shakur and just the outcome that could happen here after such a long and complicated investigation? Brian, let's start with you, and then Mike, I'll take it to you.
Yeah, so Dwayne Davis, or Keefe D, as many people know him to be, has long said that he knows who the shooter is. And even Suge Knight, I believe, has come out and said he knows who the shooter is. Suge Knight being the man who was in the vehicle with Tupac when he was shot and killed. But, so to speak, the code of the streets, they've never said it. We have seen memoirs from Keefe D come out talking about it. And that's probably what was seized when they executed that search warrant of his home just a few months ago. It's bizarre that we're getting charges now. A lot of information, at least at this point, we have known for many, many years. My curiosity is, what did they find in those search warrants that led us here? But yeah, I don't think we found Tupac's shooter. At best, we arrested the person who said he was there, and maybe the pressure of the law would give us the answers.
So, Mike, what are your thoughts right now? Because, as we all know, there has been a specific LAPD detective for years that has come forward and named who he thinks the shooter is. So how do you see this evolving now?
Yeah, Kira, well, this is has been a case that has been part of the pop culture ethos for quite some time. The battle, the idea, this narrative between East Coast and West Coast rap came upon with Tupac and Biggie Smalls, and they dominated not only the charts, but then they also too dominated the headlines in their murders and gone too soon. Tupac was a prolific rapper and MC, artist, poet, dancer, actor, someone who was really well read, to whose lyrics today still serve such a blueprint to culture and to society. And so this is why his death has always loomed us for so long over what actually happened to it. There was conversations, Kira, you and I have talked about this, where there's two types of justice that goes around in culture. There is justice that happens in the courtroom, and then there is this narrative of justice that happens in the streets, in the code of the streets, in the code of silence, of not wanting to engage with law enforcement. With the latter being said, a lot of individuals already knew who they believed was the shooter. All accounts, too, in a BET interview given by Dwayne Keefe D, he implicated that it was his nephew that actually shot Tupac Shakur, Orlando Davis, who is no longer with us, who died shortly thereafter the murder happened. But to this day, there was 4 individuals who were actually placed in that car. And we got all these details because KPD actually wrote a book about it. And he actually started doing media campaigns around the late 2018. He started speaking because he was facing another charge that was dealing with drugs and drugs possession, where he was facing a lifetime. And so he ultimately gave, I wouldn't say a plea deal, but started giving information that could give information to this case in hopes to lessen his sentencing that was done. And so as a result of all the talking that he's done, he's one of the last remaining individuals that was in the car who actually knows what happened. And so to what Brian said, I'll be curious to see what did they find in the search warrant that led for them to actually place him under arrest.
Right, because the memoir Compton Street Legend that he wrote and did make these allegations, you know, it's been out for a while. So just quickly, Brian, what is it that you think finally could have happened all these years later, even with that memoir that was put out where Davis said he knew who shot and killed Tupac Shakur? What is it that it could possibly be?
So, as most of you know who have written books, and I know Tim is working on a great book that's coming out, what you write and design doesn't often always get into the book. And so if they do a search warrant of his home and they get the kind of rough notes, so to speak, the pieces that didn't make the book, and it becomes a lot clearer picture that he was an accessory after the fact, that could lead to charges. Also, the memoir could be a violation of a previous plea agreement where they might have deferred prosecution if he didn't basically snitch on himself. But him opening his mouth and writing a memoir and all these interviews, that could have opened the floodgates to prosecution and the search warrant as well.
Tim, Mike, Brian, appreciate it. I know we got you at the last minute there, but it's a story we have continued to cover and will continue to. Even our special Who Shot Pac, the murder of Tupac Shakur. It's now streaming on Hulu. New episodes of Impact by Nightline drop every Thursday, by the way. We'll stay on the story.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.